show, everybody. 1:44 p.m. on your Tuesday afternoon. My guest on the phone lines here is David Silverman. He is the president of American Atheists, and they would like to make sure that atheist material, and for that matter, all religious materials or all non-religious materials, are allowed into Georgia state parks. Now, Greg, sometimes, I don't know if you call this Divine Providence or what it might be, but sometimes in media, everything just comes together. And on the phone line, I have David Silverman, and he's the president of American Atheists. Now, do you know who just joined us in the studios? They decided to stop by after the local Tea Party rally.
I recognize that face. Yes, I do.
Is June Griffin and Ruth-Anne Wilson, who are two of our staunchest Christian conservative Tea Party members. So
I should say those faces.
David, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, well, good, because we have June Griffin in the studio, and we have Ruth-Anne Wilson. Now, these two names, you probably don't recognize them, but June's built up a little bit of a following here. She is a staunch conservative. She is very, very much Christian. She's coming from a Tea Party rally herself, and I think she would probably like to take issue with some of your stances and opinions. So, June, I will let you go ahead.
Well, first of all, hi. It is a matter of divine providence. I told Ruth, I said, let's go by and introduce ourselves to Brian Joyce. So I'm sure you would say that just happened. As head of the Bill of Rights Committee, you have a problem with Georgia and what it does. But the 9th and 10th Amendment gives Georgia the right to do what it well pleases. And if the people in Georgia want to have Bibles, that's their prerogative. I understand that you...
I'm not saying the people in Georgia can't have Bibles. I've never, ever said people in Georgia can't have Bibles.
No, I'm talking about in public places. You see, the 9th and 10th Amendment gives an area, a state, or a county the right to do what the people in that state or county want to do. And that's one problem that I have with you all, libertarian thought or atheistic or whatever. You always just kind of cut off that 9th and 10th Amendment.
Do you know what the difference is between a libertarian and an atheist?
Well, a libertarian probably wouldn't have too much to do with you, but you might have something to do with them. But let me ask you, sir, do you have insurance?
No, I wanted to ask you because you came out and you criticized libertarians and atheists. You put us in the same club.
Oh, well,
I wanted to know if you know the difference between a libertarian and
David,
an atheist.
are you a libertarian? Do you classify yourself as that? Okay.
All right, well...
No, I'm a Democrat. Actually, I'm an independent. I used to be a Republican, and now I'm an independent. But I usually vote Democrat these days.
You're sliding on down the hill, aren't you? You have insurance? You have insurance?
Do I have health insurance?
Any kind of insurance?
Yes, I do.
Well, if I were God, which you're claiming to be, why do you need insurance?
Wait. Now
right,
you're saying that, David...
Have you ever heard me claim to be God?
Oh, yes, you are the top. You are the top.
Have I ever told anybody that I claim to be God?
It's a matter
one of the things that I really don't like about the Christian right is they lie a lot, and they talk when they don't know what they're talking about. So I want to know when you have ever heard an atheist say that they were God.
Well,
ever.
it's a matter of conclusion. And as far as lying is an intent to deceive.
Oh, well, I would say, well,
so
since you believe you're God, wouldn't that be a lie?
But let me say this
I've never heard you say that.
The fact is, no, lying is an malicious intent to deceive.
Well, David, David, let me cut in for a second here. Now, you've been clear. You don't want to take the Bibles away from Georgia. All you're saying is you would like other material to be there. Now, going back to what June is saying, what about what she says when she says, well, the 9th and 10th Amendment, according to that, if Georgia just wants the Bible in there and they don't want your material, what do you say to that?
Well, I would say to look at the Supreme Court ruling. Of course, the laws of the United States are the Constitution, the treaties, the Supreme Court rulings, and the federal laws in that order. You can look at the 9th and 10th Amendment, but what the Supreme Court has done, the Supreme Court, who is the arbitrator of the law, has looked at the First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the 14th Amendment and said that the states have to treat everybody equally, that the majority does not get to decide the official religion of the state, and the largest group of people doesn't get to decide if the smaller group of people is marginalized.
Well,
the first, as the 14th Amendment says, that all people in this country are to be treated equally by the government. If the government takes sides in one religion, they are not being treated equally. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, there are tons and tons of atheists, Christians, atheists, Jews, Muslims, and other non-Christians right there in Georgia. And Georgia does not get any rights to say, oh, you guys are first-class citizens, but you guys are second-class citizens.
Well,
You're simply wrong.
The fact is that you can't do away with the Bill of Rights. That's inviolable.
Let me bring in Choo Choo Dave. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, now you're a little bit loud. I'm going to bring in some of the phone lines here. Choo Choo Dave, you are.
I'm getting a lot of noise.
Yeah, we're gonna have to drop Choo Choo Dave. Let's go to Caleb. Caleb, you're on with Brian, Joyce, June Griffin, and David Silverman. Welcome.
Brian, June, David, how are you?
We're doing good.
Very well, thanks.
Good. Now, I have a question for you. Why is it that you don't believe? You said because of Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, all that. You said that you learned it was a fairy tale. Well, we all know that the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus is, but what makes you think that there is no creator?
Because there's no evidence for a creator.
I'll let you take that, David.
In the history of the world. Now, you've asked me a question, and I'll let you ask it. Now, please let me answer. In the history of the world, the number of times anything supernatural has been supported by science, any one time, is zero. Okay? There is absolutely no evidence anywhere ever of the existence of any God or any creator or any supernatural being. Now, I'm not married to this position. If any evidence pops up, if a God shows himself, parts an ocean, cures a disease, actually, stops tornadoes from killing children in Oklahoma, maybe I would actually believe in something supernatural. But until that happens, and there has been, and I want to make it clear, I'm not stubborn here, there has never been a single piece of scientifically valid evidence to support an invisible man in the sky. So when I say God and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy, and you say, well, why do you believe one or the other, or what makes God different? There is nothing that makes God different. There is nothing that says that God is real but Santa Claus is not. Anything that you can use to support God, oh, maybe he's just really good at hiding. Maybe he has mysterious ways. Well, that can be used not only for any other God ever jumped up by humans, but also for Santa Claus.
And David, I just want to...
He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. It's the same thing.
David, I do want to clarify, too. I do want to clarify that earlier you had said you were raised Jewish, so you were raised at least to believe in God. You just came to the conclusion yourself that it doesn't exist.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Most atheists come to atheism through thought. We don't get... It's raised in, we're not raised in, we're, one of the things that I tell everybody, and I will say it on this radio show right now, everybody out there needs to read their Bible. And when I say read their Bible, I don't mean, I have a Bible and I've read a few passages like my pastor said. I'm talking about sit down in a chair, turn on a light, start at Genesis, and read the Bible, and see if you think that's the perfect word of God.
Let me take a phone call.
I dare you to do it.
Let me take a phone call here from Beaverman. Beaverman, go ahead.
Brian?
Yes.
Hello. June, it is an honor to be able to speak with you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I would warn this gentleman, and I use the term euphemistically, that you would have the ability to hand him his shorts when it comes to discussions of the Constitution and historical context. I don't believe this man can hold a candle to your expertise, June.
Why do you feel that way, Beaverman?
Because I have heard June on the radio for many, many, many years. She is one of the most intelligent and historically knowledgeable constitutionalists that has a brain and is able to be both a federalist.
How in the world can you call herself? Can you call her knowledgeable if she doesn't know the difference between a libertarian and an atheist?
Well, here's the difference. The atheists are kind of like chameleons, sir. And
I'm asking you to define it. You can be knowledgeable.
Let me ask you.
Well, hold on. One at a time.
Let's a political party and
hold on, David.
Theology.
David, one at a time. Let Beaverman speak here. Go ahead, Beaverman.
Okay, first of all, David, that is your name, right? You need to tell your brother Beelzebub there across the river Styx to put some more money in the payphone because you're clicking a lot. I think your connection is poor. I don't think that is coincidence. I think that is brought on because the people of the South do not wish to hear your degenerate ideology. It's just plain.
Oh, well, that's too bad. You know, there's a lot of atheists in the South, too.
Well, Beaverman, hold on. Now let me just to side with David here for a second. Would you not agree that I guarantee there are probably many atheists and Muslims and Jews and Buddhists and God knows what variety of religious types or non-religious types all across the Southeast?
By definition, not religious. So they cannot be incorporated or even aligned with any other religious groups.
So you would be
absence of religion.
Do you think are you insulted that he's even purporting to take sides with religious groups?
I'm insulted that he. Where do you hail from, sir? Across the river Styx? I mean, are you from up north? I would guess.
Which is basically.
Do you know how to spell the river Styx?
Yes, I do, sir.
Sir, it doesn't matter where I'm from. What we do have is in Georgia. Georgia is part of this thing called the United States of America, and we have the Constitution.
You know what?
And even though you don't like what I have to say, we're still going to say it. And if you say, hey, I really don't like what you say, we're still going to say it because we have an equal place in this country right next to you Christians. Whether you like it or not, you are equal to me and no more.
Let me take one more call here before we go to the break. KT, you're on Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Hey, KT.
Good afternoon, Mr. Joyce.
Hey.
Good show today.
No, thank you.
All right, good deal. I just wanted to express that, okay, now this is going to be weird, and I always get that. So
okay.
Okay. Anyway, I express agreement with your guest. I understand exactly where he's coming from. But one thing I would say to him is there is a difference between a religion and a relationship with a creator. Now, there is a way that has been provided that we didn't have to provide for a relationship. Now, a religion, yes, do this on this day and don't do this, and be here on this day, and have your little dingleberries hanging off your robe, and just writing this stone here and bow this way. Exactly. A religion, it does damage the human race. I've seen it. Even people that
see how much we agree.
Do. It almost dumbs them down, does it not, sir?
It definitely dumbs them down. It absolutely dumbs. You and I have a lot in common. The only thing that we agree with is that there's a difference between relationship and religion, because religion is in and of itself individual, and a relationship is basically a euphemism for an individualized religion.
David,
so
listen,
they are one and the same in my definition, but I totally agree with you on the fact that organized religion dumbs down society, hurts people, and makes people come on the radio who don't know the difference between libertarianism and atheism and spout off like they know something.
David, listen, I am up against a break, so I do have to let you go. I appreciate your time today. I appreciate all of the callers. Now, if any of my listeners want more information on American Atheists, which I have a feeling a lot of them don't, but why don't you go ahead and give your information out anyway?
It's probably 501c3.
Oh, I have a feeling that quite a few people will like to know that we are that the website for American Atheists is atheists.org, and we're very, very happy to have a large and growing atheist contingent in Georgia. There's a lot of atheists in Georgia. If you think you're alone, you are very, very wrong. There's lots of atheists in Georgia, and I would call out to all Christians there to please, number one, read the Bible, and number two, please understand that Georgia is a much more diverse state than some people think. There are lots of atheists. Everybody hearing my voice knows more atheists than they think they know. I thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the courtesy of allowing me to speak on your show.
Absolutely. David, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Have a good day.
There you have it, folks. That's David Silverman, president of American Atheists. June Griffin, I suppose I'll give you the last say here.
Well, the 14th chapter, excuse me, of Psalms says, he wanted us to read the Bible. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They're corrupt. They have done abominable works. None that doeth good. And just for a closing, I suppose, Christian people are commanded to be evangelistic. We don't have a choice. We have to tell the gospel. We're commanded by our Savior to tell the gospel, and we're commanded to tell him where he's going if he doesn't obey the gospel. And so we don't have any choice except to pass out Bibles, pass out tracts, get on the radio. That's our commander has said so.
June, I appreciate your time. Ruth-Ann, thanks for coming into the studio.
May I have last word, too? Please?
Sure, you can.
Well, he wants us to read our Bibles, so let's look up Deuteronomy 32. 39. And this is the Lord. He says, "See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand." So that's in the Old Testament, which he says he had Jewish background, so he wants everybody to read the Bible. Well, those are just two examples of God's witness of who he is. So the atheist needs to keep his mouth shut in a Christian nation. He likes Supreme Court decisions. How about the 1892 Supreme Court decision, which said this is a Christian nation?
267-1023, toll free, 888-779-8255. We're way behind schedule here, folks, but what can I do? We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Talk Radio 102.3.